6 a.m. Roll call, please.
Gershenson?
Here.
Kokendorfer is absent with notice. Jackson?
Here,
And can you just state your location?
Southfield, Michigan.
And you're attending remotely today?
Yeah.
Yes, attending remotely due to medical reasons.
Thank you. Woodward?
Here.
As ex officio. Nelson?
Here.
Madam Chair, you have quorum.
Thank you. All right, next up, let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, next up, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or changes to the minutes?
Both are on anyway.
Next up, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any additional changes or corrections to our agenda this morning? If not, do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Gershenson, support by Commissioner Jackson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we'll move on to public comment. Just as a reminder, this first round of public comment is specifically for items that are on our agenda this morning. There will be a second public comment at the end of the meeting for individuals to discuss any item. So, are there any members from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee this morning? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Next up, we'll move on to our regular agenda. We've got two items on the agenda. Agenda item A, confirmation of appointment, Director of Public Services. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Gershenson, support by Chairman Woodward. All righty. As we all know, the County Executive Coulter has selected Barbara Hankey to serve as the Director of the Department of Public Services. The Department of Public Services manages the divisions of Community Corrections, Children's Village, Circuit Court Probation, Animal Control, and Medical Examiner. I believe we've got Ms. Hankey here with Deputy Hobbs, so welcome. Come join us. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Good morning. We're very happy to come across the street today to ask for confirmation for Barb Hankey. As many of you know, Barb has been here for 30 plus years managing community corrections. And we have selected her as our next Director of Public Services. In addition to all those wonderful divisions that she will manage, one of the other things that we're really going to be leaning on Barb for is really leading our criminal justice efforts here. So, as you guys know, she has an outstanding reputation in the criminal justice space. And so we think that she would be ideal to really lead our office, the county exec, and the county in this space. So please welcome Barb Hankey, and she'll say a few words, and we'll answer any questions.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank Executive Coulter and the administration for giving me this opportunity. I look forward to working with the administration and with all of you to advance the objectives in criminal justice reform in Oakland County.
Excellent. Commissioner Gershenson.
Well, welcome aboard, Barb. I'm really excited about this appointment. I've been working with you for a long time, and I have the utmost respect for you and your judgment and your commitment. So I'm looking forward to the future and helping us make this county even stronger.
I am as well. Thank you so much.
Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Barb, congratulations. I think you are definitely the right person for this role. It's been a pleasure working with you. I think your commitment for community corrections is demonstrated in your work. I'm very excited about what your leadership is going to be able to provide to take our existing programs to the next level. Your commitment to engagement of the community for the years that I've known you is, it's really truly amazing. So I'm very, very excited. I mean, one thing, and I guess this is more of a question like from the entire division, and I'm foggy because last year was very busy. Did we formally move Children's Village into
Yes.
this division? Okay.
Yes.
I remember a conversation, and I just don't remember the vote. So, but which is great. I mean, I think, and it really is. I think it's the appropriate place to be, and I think that there are a lot of things. I am probably hyper focused on. I mean, making certain that we provide not only the best programming, the best support. This is our youth. It is. If we don't fix it there, it's going to, or address some of the challenges there, it's going to be long term. So, I mean, again, I'm even more ecstatic of your role and leadership to be able to oversee, I think, the largest children's village operation in the state. So it's, congratulations. I don't have any questions. Just one request. If there are ideas that we need to do to address criminal justice better, I never want you to hesitate to reach out to this board. You have a partner with this board, and I know you have a partner with this administration. Let those limits of asks and creativity, be bounded by the limit of imagination.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Well, congratulations, Barb. We are so excited to have you as our Director of Public Services. If there isn't any further discussion on this item, Commissioner Gershenson.
Just one more quick question. So what's the plan to replace Barb?
We're talking about that internally. I think that we have some strong internal candidates, but as you know, there is always, an opportunity or appetite for us to look externally also. So we're having those conversations now.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any further discussion on this agenda item? Seeing none, please prompt. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have Commissioner Spiz is joining us virtually? Good morning, Commissioner Spiz.
Good morning, and thank you. I just would like to make a comment. I don't have any questions, but I'd like to congratulate Barb, and I look forward to working with her in the future. And speaking for the Republican caucus, we're in full support of this appointment. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner. If there isn't any further discussion on this item, please prompt the vote for the confirmation of appointment of Director of Public Services, Barb Hankey.
Jackson? Commissioner Jackson, you're muted.
I vote yes.
Thank you. Madam Chair, you have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
4 yeas, 0 nays. Confirmation appointment confirmed.
Thank you.
Congratulations again, and thank you for joining us.
Thank
you
you.
for your support.
Thank you. Next up, we'll move on to our second and last regular agenda item, which is appointments to the Board of County Canvassers. And I do believe, do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Gershenson, support by Chairman Woodward. And I do believe that we have Mr. Joe Roselle joining us. If you want to come on and join us, Mr. Roselle, that would be great. The Board of County Canvassers is, just as a little background, and I know Joe is going to give us a little bit more detailed background, but the Board of County Canvassers is made up of 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. The head of each political party has submitted through the county clerk 3 names for consideration of 1 vacancy each, and the appointment confirmation by the Board of Commissioners is required within 10 calendar days of the Board of Commissioners annual meeting, and our annual meeting is scheduled for September 29th, 2021. The current term expires October 31st, 2021, and the new appointments will be for a 4-year term expiring on October 31st of 2025. The current appointees are Wilma Cotton from our Republicans and Gloria Harstein-Spann, Democrat. So good morning, Mr. Roselle.
Good morning.
Can you give us a little bit of background of the County Board of Canvassers?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. The 4-member bipartisan Board of County Canvassers exists in all 83 counties. They really essentially have 4 primary functions. The first of which is to inspect all of the ballot containers that are used in the county. They do this ballot container inspection every 4 years to make sure that the containers are in good working order and comply with state law. They oversee the conduct of any recounts that occur from president all the way down to library board. They adjudicate write-in votes. So as you know, folks can be write-in candidates, and voters may not always spell that write-in candidate's name correctly, and it's the Board of Canvassers that makes the determination. Michigan is not a voter intent state, with the exception of write-in votes. So they look and try to determine the voter's intent and who they were writing in, and then they'll award those votes to the appropriate candidate. And then lastly, they're involved in election certification. So all elections that take place in our county, they certify, and then some of those certifications we pass on to the state level, where there's then a certification conducted at the state level. But for local offices, their certification is what makes the election official. I'll talk a little bit about the certification part, and that essentially is a reconciliation that takes place after the election. So election day, everybody goes to vote, absentee ballots are counted. On election night, there are 2 envelopes that are delivered to the county. One is to the care of the chief probate judge, and they are here and secure those envelopes. The other is to the county clerk. And the day following the election, the probate judge and the county clerk's office meet with the Board of Canvassers and provide those envelopes to them that have the poll book and the tapes from the voting machines, et cetera. And then the canvassers begin this reconciliation process. So essentially, they look at a precinct and they look at the poll book and they say, all right, example, 500 voters came into this precinct and voted. Were there 500 ballots tabulated? And making sure that those match. If they don't match, it's their job to investigate why and attempt to correct that precinct. So one example, if we're talking about an absentee counting board, we might have tabulated one more ballot than we do voters in the poll book. So what we'll do is we'll actually have the return envelopes that the voters sign with their absentee ballots brought into the canvas, and we'll go through the process and match up every one of those envelopes against the poll book. What we find sometimes is a local clerk's office forgot to scan one of the envelopes that was returned into the poll book. So then we will go ahead and make that correction at the canvas, and now we reconcile. So the number of voters matches the number of ballots tabulated. It was just an honest mistake where an envelope wasn't scanned in, and they correct that. Same thing could occur in a precinct. So the voter completes that white application to vote when they go into the precinct to cast their ballot. We might find we have a ballot or 2 more tabulated than voters in the poll book. We'll actually go through that stack of applications to vote to find out, who wasn't recorded in the poll book. We'll make sure they get recorded, and we'll correct that. They also might correct, clerical errors, where we look at the ballot summary that we're trying to reconcile, and we see that the workers, instead of putting 500 on the line, put 501. So the canvassers will correct any errors in math or any clerical errors on the ballot summary. So it's a very detail-oriented process. But it's one that we attempt to bring every single precinct in this county into balance. Generally, that happens. We're pretty good about that. But every once in a while, there are precincts that we just cannot reconcile. And an example of that might be where spouses, to save the cost of a stamp, return 2 ballots in one envelope. So when that envelope gets returned, that voter who's on the outside of the envelope is recorded in the poll book as having returned their ballot. So that's one voter in the poll book. And if the workers aren't careful when they're opening those envelopes to see that there were 2 ballots inside and they're sent for processing, well, then we're going to have one more ballot that's tabulated than voters in the poll book. That's not anything we can catch during the canvass. That would have had to have been caught, in that local community at their absentee counting board or at the absentee counting board the county conducts. That's a training issue. In the end, voters did return their ballot. Both of those folks who received their ballot in that household are legitimate voters, or they wouldn't have been sent a ballot. It's just there's no way of catching that other household member that returned that ballot in the envelope. So those are instances where we make notations where it may have been off, and we note that we couldn't resolve it, and this is what we suspect happened, et cetera, and that process takes place. Like I said, that is not the normal situation. The board and our office take great pride in our ability to reconcile these precincts. And when it comes down to conducting a recount, at least in this county, we are very confident that all of the precincts are eligible to be recounted because of the work that's done during the county canvass. So when we get to the recount, everything is reconciled, balanced, and we can conduct that. So that is sort of a high-level overview of what the board does, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Sure. Commissioners, is there any questions? Chairman Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. Rozell, for, you and your team. I think after this last election, largest turnout ever, Oakland County first taking on responsibility to help process absentee ballots for smaller communities, or even some larger communities, and was able to do so in record pace and be able to post those results. And complete this. This process. I think it's a model. I do go around the state and say that he counted almost 100,000 ballots in the same time that some communities took 2.5 days.
Sure.
Thanks. Great job. As it relates to the Board of Canvassers, and I believe this is also the public is invited to. You can actually observe the Board of Canvassers working, and we bring on some additional staff support in the processing, and if there are some disputes and everything, that the Board of Canvassers have to, come to some level of agreement. In terms of it, the Board of Canvassers' statutory responsibility, you mentioned those other roles that they have over the course of an election cycle. Mm-hmm. As it relates to certifying the election, because this, some areas got national attention, and some counties in Michigan. And then, of course, the disproven charges of a mass conspiracy and voter fraud all over the country, which has been disproven time and time again. What is the role of the Board of Canvassers in their statutory and constitutional responsibility in certifying the election?
Well, the canvassers take an oath as required by statute, to uphold the Constitution and the laws of this state. And the laws of this state do prescribe that they conduct this county canvass. There's a stopgap in statute that if the canvassers run out of time or fail to do something, then the state board of canvassers, Secretary of State, could seize the election records and finish it themselves. Fortunately, that's never happened here. But they take an oath, and they have a responsibility to conduct that canvass. So there is no statutory legitimate reason to say, I'm not going to do this. It outlines a process, it outlines a timeline, and they take an oath to honor that.
Great. Thank you.
Excellent. Is there any other further discussion, questions on this agenda item?
Joe, are we going to talk to the candidates?
I'm sorry?
Are we going to talk to the candidates?
Sure,
Oh, okay.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But commissioner-wise, is there any questions, comments, further discussion for Joe? Commissioner Gershenson?
Well, no, but I think Joe should stand by.
Okay, I'll sit on
Yeah.
the side.
Absolutely. At this time, I'd like to, I know that we do this morning have two our incumbents, so we do have Wilma Cotton here with us today, as well as Gloria, and I do believe Gloria is here with us in person. So Gloria, why don't you come and join us at the head of the table?
Anything?
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you just share a brief little background about yourself?
My name is Gloria Harston-Spann. I'm from Pontiac. I've been involved with Pontiac for quite a long time in different situations. I'm on the appeals board here for Oakland County, also for the personnel. I'm also past president of my local for a number of years. I'm involved in the 14th Congressional District as the chair for the screening committee. So it's a number of things I'm involved in the community and whole in Pontiac. Yes.
Sure. Excellent. Commissioner Gershenson.
Well, welcome. Good to see you.
Nice seeing you.
So this was your first canvass in November?
No, it
No?
was not my first. I think about my third or fourth, something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
Excuse me, I've lost track of time. But I just wonder, how has this experience been for you? And in particular, I know there was quite a bit of controversy around the last election. Could you share with us your insights and what it was like for you?
Of course. I'm the co-chair. And we did have some conflict. As a group, the four of us get along pretty well. But there are times when you have to make a decision that's best for what's going on. We resolved it, although we had closed-door sessions, I'm going to be honest with you, to ask why. Because there's four people who represent, the county. We want to know what's going on. And so the problems that we had, we did discuss it. And I can say to you that the election that was presented was fully okay. It was nothing out of the way, hidden or anything. It's just like any other elections that we had. There was nothing under the table, any kind of things, because that's something that, as canvassers, that's not something that we allow. We want everybody and anything to come in to see what's going on, and they did. We want to share with you any information that we can give you, and we do that. So the last elections was nothing different than any other canvassing that I have done so far.
Excellent. Thank you. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And Gloria, thank you for your service. I believe that this is probably one of the most principal roles that we have across the state to ensure the integrity of our election process. Commissioner Gershenson asked kind of the question, what your general observations over the last election. Sadly, we have a former president that continues to spout the big lie, to say that the election was stolen and was fraudulent and everything, and it has been disputed. It has been rejected. Every court has denied it. Yes. And even the ridiculous audit in Arizona showed that the current president got more votes. This only works. Belief in our systems and our elections only works when we have people who hold the integrity of making sure that every valid vote is counted, and the process, the steps along the way. And I think Joe did a great job of explaining to make sure that a process of how many ballots are issued and who are they issued to, and how many ballots returned and who were they returned from, and all these checkpoints along the way, all the way to this certification process to make sure in this precinct there were 500 ballots counted and there were 500 that are accounted for. And if there's a discrepancy of one, a deep dive to try to reconcile what that is. Because when you're talking about 700,000 plus ballots being cast, there are going to be some administrative things that get through, and then there's a stopgap, a process of doing that. So you answered my question was, from your vantage point as one of the four people that are tasked with ensuring election integrity, was Oakland County's election accurate, and were the ballots cast the right count?
Everything that was done in Oakland County for our voting was above board. There was no difference of any other election there. We had the tremendous task of counting so many votes, and we only have a certain amount of days that we can certify. And even with the amount of work that we had to do, we still got it certified. Everything was done that I think Oakland County would be proud of, and there was no difference in any difference during our process at all, not in Oakland County.
And just a follow-up question to that, from your perspective and having done a few, this was your first term as a board candidate, so the past one, was there anything irregular in this presidential election cycle that wasn't common to past?
No. No, I can honestly say that if it was, I would be the first ones to tell you I had a problem with this, this, and this, but I didn't. The process went as we come in, and it's like it clicks in, and we just go through. If we have a problem, then yes, we will call the particular city or township in and say what happened here. But in this particular instance, there wasn't no difference in any other canvas that we did.
Right. Thank you. And I think the other members on the committee, aside from the role, kind of checking the work at the back end of the Board of Canvassers and beyond taking on the responsibility to help communities count absentee ballots, we've got 50 plus voting jurisdictions. Our election system is so decentralized where you've got, clerks and staff running elections, and then everything gets fed into one system and validated. I think the checkpoints through here are enormous and should offer complete confidence to the public that every appropriate ballot cast is counted in Oakland County. And thank you for your service.
Excellent. All righty. Is there any further questions for Gloria? All righty, seeing none. Gloria, thank you so much for your dedication and commitment to ensuring election integrity here in Oakland County, and for providing us a little bit more details about yourself this morning. So thank you.
And thank you for having me, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Gloria Harstein-Spann is the incumbent and the Oakland County Democratic Party nominee for the Oakland County Board of Canvassers. Next up, we have Wilma Cotton, and I believe Wilma Cotton is joining us virtually. Wilma Cotton is also the incumbent and the Oakland County Republican Party nominee for the Oakland County Board of Canvassers. So good morning, Gloria, good morning, Wilma.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to join you virtually.
Yeah.
Can you turn your camera on?
Oh, I'm not sure I know how to do that.
No.
Oh, no.
That's a problem.
Maybe that's. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just not sure how to do that. Oh, maybe now I have it. Okay.
Let's see.
I think I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
We can hear you.
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Can't see you.
Oh, maybe that's a good thing.
Well,
Do you see Wilma? Do you see the camera button on? Are you on a laptop or a?
My phone. I'm on my phone.
Okay.
Is that better?
If you touch the screen, you should see a little camera, like a camera thing. If you push it, you should be able to.
I did. I did, and I can see myself on the camera.
Oh. Well, we can't.
But
see.
I can't.
Okay. Well.
But you're sharing my webcam. Maybe that's it.
There you are. There you are. Then we see you. There
Well,
you
good
go.
morning,
Perfect.
Wilma.
Good morning.
It's good to see you.
Thank you so much. Good to have the opportunity to talk with you.
Yeah. Wilma, could you provide us just a brief background of yourself and?
Sure. I'm Wilma Cotton. I'm a retired clerk of Bloomfield Township, where I served for about 25 years as clerk. I've served on the Board of Canvassers for many years. I have forgotten how many now, but I have served for many, many years and enjoy the process.
Excellent. All righty. Well, thank you, Wilma. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Gershenson.
Well, good morning, Wilma. It's nice to see you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be with you folks.
So, Wilma, I am also from Bloomfield Township, and I know that you have many admirers and supporters in our township. That's why I really wanted to have this opportunity to talk with you about your experiences during the last November election. Could you share with us your recollections about what happened?
Sure. I'm sure you're aware of the little problem at the last day when the state notified us on Monday that we needed to wrap things up and certify the election, and we were not quite finished. we had 2 communities that we had not processed their or not confirmed their absentee ballot. And on the last day, our 14th day, we're allowed 14 days by law to certify. And I went in that morning and told Mr. Roselle that I was not prepared to certify. And that was only because we did not complete. I had no problem with the numbers. There was no fraud. There was nothing wrong with our totals. It was just simply that we did not complete. That was my first time in serving on the canvass board that we were not able to complete. We were under pressure from the state to complete, and that's what the problem was.
So there was no conversation between you and the other Republican canvasser about delaying the...
Absolutely not. He was not. Mr. Copes, Bob Copes, is the other Republican canvass board member, and we did not have any conversation whatsoever that I was not going to certify.
So, Wilma, are you aware that your emails and Mr. Coates, is it?
Copes.
Copes' emails were FOIA'd?
Yes, yes.
And are you aware that Mr. Cope's email showed conversations between you and...
I would have to reread those emails because I did not, Bob was not aware that I was going to go in and tell Mr. Roselle that I was not prepared to certify. There was no collusion between us. To my knowledge, Bob didn't say anything about certifying or not certifying.
So I'll end at this point.
Okay. Chairman Woodward.
Wilma, thank you. Thank you for your years of service. And election workers today are sadly being berated, life-threatened, all sorts of things in the name of conspiracies. And I want to thank you for your service as a local clerk and your service here on this board. Similarly, I guess I want to, and I think you alluded to it, the fact that there still is, to this day, a group of people that believe the election was stolen, that election results were fraudulent, and I want you to, to affirm again, I think what's something you already said, that in Oakland County, the election was accurate, and the count and the people who won up and down the ticket, that not only was there no evidence of fraud, is that the election results were valid for 2020.
I think she's frozen.
Now that.
Shocked her. Yeah, I think she's frozen.
Wilma, can you hear us?
We might have to have Wilma call back in.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. All right, it looks like we're experiencing some technical difficulties.
Wilma, if you can hear us, you need to go out and come back in.
Just hang up, and we'll have, if staff can, contact her again.
Oh, she's out.
I'll text her.
Right.
Well,
Say that again, more artfully.
should we ask Joe to respond to that, or just let it go?
I'm going.
Wilma, can you hear us now?
She said she was having connection issues on the screen.
Okay.
Got to work on those that Wi-Fi connection issues in Bloomfield.
She's in Florida.
Oh. Well, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, right.
Hi, Wilma. Oh, yep.
I think.
Hi, Wilma.
If she turns off her camera, we might hear that.
Yeah, you know what? As much as we want, I really want to see you. Maybe if you turn off your camera, you'll get better reception.
It's a good suggestion.
Yeah, but we do want to see you, but at least talk to you. What's wrong? It looks like we should hear you.
Wilma, if you can hear us, can you give us some indication? Perhaps we might want to try having her call in phone-wise instead of accessing virtual.
If she could turn off her camera, she might have better bandwidth.
Yeah. We're seeing if we can have staff reach out to her. I don't think that she's able to hear us. But that's a great suggestion, Commissioner Spiz. Wilma, if you can hear us, we are having staff attempting to contact you to work through some of these technical difficulties and internet connectivity.
We try.
You guys are too much.
What's the expression? We have the technology, but it doesn't always work.
Hey, Dave. Sure.
What happens? What happens in the
Okay. Sure, it's going to be paper. Yeah. But Dave, should I? Okay. We appreciate everybody's patience as we work through some technical issues. Looks like Andrea. Sure, well, that's what I was going to say. Is somebody in contact with her right now? Okay, excellent.
She said she had some connectivity issues.
Sure.
We were emailing, so she was going to do her best. So she's got a bunch of text messages now.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Is she going to try to call in?
She hasn't responded.
She's probably done.
Give her a second.
Should I recess?
They drive me. But I've been there, so I'm sympathetic.
We're going to wait
Yeah, okay,
anyway.
sure.
Hi, Wilma, Jamie calling from the board. It's okay, I just texted you the phone number that you can call in, and then there's an access code as well. Do you have the access code handy? Yep, the access code is 739-644-781. Yes, Yeah, sometimes when you have video with the sound, the video pulls your bandwidth, so, yeah. So, yep, just give us a call. Okay, all right, bye. She was just getting ready to call in.
There's a caller too. Is that her? Wilma, are you back with us?
Can you see who caller 2 is? Is that Wilma?
I can send it.
I'll give it soon for that tomorrow.
Nope. I bet she's caller 3.
Okay.
Thank you. I think I can hear you now.
We can hear you, Wilma.
Oh, excellent.
Hi.
Welcome,
Oh,
Wilma.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I hope it wasn't at my end.
No, well, it's technology happens. So, but Wilma, thank you very much for being diligent here. So, I don't know what you heard when I dropped off. So let me just I restate. And similar that I mean your counterpart on the canvassing board, that the integrity of our election, the accuracy of our election continues to be attacked by, from the top, from our former president. I would like you to, say, based on your experience and being on the front line of verifying that not only in Oakland County was the election accurate, that the votes were counted and the results are true.
Absolutely. I absolutely affirm that the integrity of the election in Oakland County is unquestionable.
Right.
I don't know if you heard me say that it is my firm opinion that Oakland County has the best elections department in the whole state. Mr. Joe Roselle runs a very tight ship, and he does an excellent job. My only problem with originally saying that I was not going to certify was the fact that we had not finished. There were 2 communities that we did not confirm their absentee ballots. Our numbers were perfect. Our numbers were accurate. There was no fraud. There was no
Board of Canvassers and others not to certify the election?
No, I did not receive anything from that I recall. I don't recall receiving anything from, what did you say, Michigan Coalition?
It's the Michigan Conservative Coalition.
No, I don't recall receiving anything that they were not going to. Of course, I was aware on the news that they were questioning the whole state. Mm-hmm. Especially Detroit, they were questioning. But I was not aware that there were any specific questions to Oakland County.
Right. Were there any state legislators that reached out to you to encourage you not to certify the election?
No, there were not. I think I saw an email from Ruth Johnson, and I forget the other gentleman's name, that they wanted to conduct an audit of the state. But not specifically Oakland County. They were just being, with a broad brush, they were saying the whole state.
All right. So you never talked to Ruth Johnson?
No, I did not. I never spoke with Ruth Johnson.
Okay.
And I never spoke with the other gentleman. I think his name was Mike. I forget the last name.
Okay.
I did not speak with him at all.
Okay. So, Wilma, I'm just going to, so I'm seeing here, this is an email that you sent to Bob. Okay. Basically apologize. On Monday, November 16th at 8:20 p.m., they say, sorry to bother you this evening, but hoping you have a minute to read the message below. Apparently, once the county certified the election, and in quotation marks, an audit cannot be demanded. I tried to call the state rep and the senator below. I'm going to try to call Ruth Johnson. I'll let you know if I get through. And you forwarded a communication from the Michigan Conservative Coalition, basically telling people, encouraging people not to certify the election.
Okay, I don't recall receiving that, but obviously I did because it's in that email that I sent to Bob.
Right.
But my only reason for not certifying was simply the fact that we hadn't finished. That was the first time that all the years that I had served on the canvass board
that we did not finish, that we did not complete.
Right. So okay. So I'm under the impression you did talk to State Senator Johnson, and I think that there was others that you told that you did, and
no.
So
I did not. I swear under oath I did not ever speak to Ruth Johnson or to the other gentleman. I did not.
Right.
I did call her, but we never connected.
Right. So I guess my question is, so you called her. Why did you call her? I mean, if you saw there was nothing wrong with our election results,
and I think
why did you call her?
I think in one of the emails that I had sent to Ruth or to the other gentleman was the fact that I had no problem with our numbers. Our numbers were fine. Our numbers were correct, and there was no problem. The only problem I had was that we did not finish. I attempted to call Ruth because I wanted to know is that the impression was that if all the counties certified, they could not do an audit of the state. And that was my question, would have been my question to her had we ever spoken, was, if we certify Oakland County, is that going to impede an audit of the state?
And
but I never, ever spoke with her.
Right. So, do you understand the concern here? I mean, so you believe that it's accurate. You believe that our election was performed above par
absolutely.
And everything. And it's hard for me to consume what you're telling me, that you didn't actually entertain not certifying the election. And I bring this up in the context. We saw what happened in Wayne County. It was a complete circus. Ultimately resolved. But we were literally within hours of that same type of story here in Oakland County. And that type of story in Oakland, let me just finish, Wilma. Those type of actions completely discredit and undermine the integrity of our election system. And you, as one of the 4 members, and you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, and issues we might be completely 100% opposite of. But given your history as a clerk and everything, I hope we share that the integrity of our election system is paramount. That has to rise above party and principle, and it is the belief in our democracy and our belief in our system of making sure that every vote cast is counted, that this entire democracy in this nation rests upon. It's a belief of that. And when actions like this, and I asked you, and I understand you said you don't recall, but when you pass on information, it is. That is definitely collusion. Look at this. This is a problem. We need to start considering not certifying. Is a huge problem, and I need to know with 100% certainty that that the election is. When an election is held and it goes through all the process that I know you as a local clerk, as a former local clerk, know has to happen. That you get to the Board of Canvassers and then confirm that the election happened as it was supposed to, that you will hold your oath of office to make sure that that election is certified and not potentially undermine the counting of hundreds of thousands of votes.
Yes, sir. I took an oath. But if you would just allow me to say that I
Please.
signed the certification paperwork. My legal signature is on there. We did not complete the canvass of the South Field, which is a very large number of votes, absentee ballots. We did not complete that. We did not complete Oak Park. That was the first time that I have ever worked on the canvass board when we did not complete the canvass. I had no problem with the numbers that we had, but we did not complete. I'm signing that paperwork saying that I did. And I had a problem with that.
All right. Thank you, Wilma. Madam Chair, if it's all right, I'm concerned about putting out there that Oakland County didn't complete a canvass. So Mr. Roselle, can you come back up here? And I just want for, did Oakland County complete the full canvas? Or, I mean, I guess, what is this not complete piece that Wilma's talking about?
So Oakland, just for the record, Oakland County did complete the canvas. The issue is similar to what I had mentioned earlier. There were precincts that could not be reconciled. They were off by 1 or 2. Whether we had 6 days, 6 months, or 6 years, we probably would never have been able to get. It's that scenario where I said that unless you catch it when the 2 ballots are in the same envelope when you open it, it's impossible to know that that's the exact cause. So there were a number of precincts. This occurred in August, where there were precincts in the August primary that we could not reconcile. November 2018, Wilma and I spent 5 days on a precinct in South Lyon that was off by 5 votes. We got it down to being off by 1. We found 4 of the things, but after 5 days, we had to throw our hands up and basically say, this is going to be off by 1. We cannot figure out what is this last ballot to reconcile. That's what we were faced with on the 14th day. A number of precincts that we could not get to 0. We could get to 1 or we could get to 2, but we could not get to 0.
And then, I mean, as a process, I mean, just given all the steps and all, I mean, that this ballot kind of travels through, is this normal? I mean, is it consistent with past presidential years, large volumes? Was there anything out of the ordinary compared to past cycles?
Well, it's consistent in that recognizing that in this election, we took a lot of ballots that were usually cast in a precinct, and we've taken them now to being cast by absentee ballots. So that put a lot of stress on local communities and their absentee counting board that had volumes that they had never seen. You know, people who had been election inspectors for 30 years had never seen this type of volume. So it was unique in that circumstance, but in terms of the canvas, no, nothing was different. It was like any other election, and in other elections, this is a human process, right? Where there are humans that do this once every 2 years that we train to the best of our ability. There are clerks that in townships only have elections, once every 2 years, unless there's a special election. You know, these are humans at various levels of this process, and there will be things that happen, and it's our job to correct those things, but we can't catch everything. I say the canvas is like a CSI, right? You're trying to piece together what happened in a 13-hour period, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes you get down to 1 or 2 votes you can't reconcile. This is not unique to our county. This happens in every county in the state because humans are involved in the process throughout the state. I like to pride ourselves that our county performs better than other counties in not only the canvass, but certainly in recounts. I mean, that's evidenced by looking around the state and seeing that there's a state rep district in the thumb, 60% of the precincts couldn't be recounted in that state house district. That's never happened, in our county. All precincts are recountable. So we take great pride in that. So I would say no, there was nothing that was unique or unusual or of particular concern. On the 14th day, I'll just reiterate, there were precincts that whether we had 6 days, 6 months, or 6 years, we probably never would have been able to determine what happened to be off by 1 or 2.
Thank you, Joe. Mm-hmm. So, just to follow with Wilma, is that consistent with your experience, Wilma? That it's not that we didn't complete the canvass, that there were a handful of precincts that, and based on a past experience, consistent with past experience, that couldn't reconcile that final 1 vote in a particular precinct?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Is there any further discussion? Questions, comments, commissioners, both in person and virtually? All righty. Seeing that there isn't, thank you so much. Chairman.
I'm going to say it. So I am going, to vote. Wilma,
Yes, sir.
I am disappointed of what happened in 2020. That we have to rise above it, and I'm hoping for better. I am, allowing myself to look at your long leadership of experience in elections. And again, that while we might disagree on politics, I have to have faith, and you're giving me your word and your pledge of oath that you will fully exercise the duty and do the duty of this office and ensure that that every vote in this county is passed and counted. Can you give me that assurance?
Well, I will, but I also have to say that I feel that I have in the past.
Right.
I was apprehensive about signing legal documents, signing my name to it.
We need to recess.
No, I understand
that
that.
was my problem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that I've let the county down in any way in the past.
Well, Wilma, I think you might have let me down in that you told others you did talk to Senator Ruth Johnson.
I did not. I did not speak with Ruth Johnson. You can ask her.
Okay.
I did not speak with Ruth Johnson.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Wilma.
All righty. Well, thank you,
Thank you
Wilma.
very much.
Thank you, Wilma, for
Thank you.
giving us some insight and background about yourself. Again, Wilma Cotton is the Republican incumbent for the Oakland County Board of Canvassers.
Do they want to say anything?
Commissioner Spiz, Commissioner Jackson, I'm sorry, is there anything that either one of you would like to ask or add? Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So really the conversation, as I'm interpreting it, was there was no canvass that was not completed. There were just precincts in Southfield and Oak Park that were not fully reconciled, which past practice has happened, but just a couple of votes, maybe due to votes being, or two ballots possibly being in one envelope.
That is correct.
Something that has occurred in the past.
That is
All
correct,
right.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Jackson.
and I guess I would also say that it not just Southfield and Oak Park. I think the example that Mr. Rozelle said, South Lyon, and my sense is that there are, out of 500 and some precincts and all the appropriate counting boards, there's a percentage of precincts that just can't get reconciled. And I think, and it's something I didn't think about until Mr. Rozelle said it, that given the dramatic increase in absentee ballots, that two envelopes in out of 700,000 people to save a stamp, putting both of them in an envelope and not catching it right there when they got open, I can see how that happens. But I think it's important for any person who's watching. Every person who was issued a ballot was affirmed and signature validated. Every ballot was numbered that went out. And the ballots that came back were ones that were sent out. And so all those systems are in place. And the CSI stuff that was explained is trying to figure out, okay, what happened and why is this off by one? We're literally down to the one to make sure that the numbers at the very end match exactly at the front end. And so I think that's an important fact to remember. It's not just two communities that were off, that this discrepancy happens all over the county and at a far lower rate, it seems, that other counties or other areas around the state do. So.
Excellent.
And that's good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Woodward and Commissioner Gersson, could you forward me copies of what you keep referencing there so I can take a look at that information, please? I have not seen that. So I'm intrigued by that.
I'll be happy to.
Also, thank you very much. Also, I would think that any of our canvassers, anytime anything that has come up that has been questioned, should ask questions. They need to ensure that our votes are at 100% integrity, at the highest level. We need to hold all of our canvassers and all of our individuals that help with the votes at the highest level. We need to lead by example, and I will hold all canvassers to that level. So Wilma, I thank you for all your support in the past, and I appreciate it. And I know I'm going to hope and pray that you will continue to do your best job and continue to hold Oakland County at the highest regard and make sure that all the votes are counted that come in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiz. Is there any further discussion on this agenda item? Alrighty. Seeing none, if there isn't any objection, I'd like to proceed with a 5-minute recess and then reconvene.
Sure. Let's see, we reconvened at 10:44. Gershenson,
Here.
Jackson,
Here.
Woodward,
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. Now that we've heard from both of the incumbents from the Oakland County Board of Canvassers, I'd like to open up the floor to discuss the Legislative Affair and Government Operations recommendation to appoint one Democrat and one Republican to the Board of County Canvassers for a 4-year term starting November 1st, 2021. Prior to that, Chairman?
Did I make the motion or did Marcia make the motion?
You made the motion.
Okay, so
Or,
if
I'm sorry, Marcia made the motion. Commissioner Gershenson made the
would
motion.
you be willing
I'm
to
sorry.
withdraw the motion that started this conversation?
I withdraw the motion.
And I'll withdraw my second.
So Commissioner Gershenson withdraws the initial motion, and the support has also been withdrawn.
Okay.
So I will, well, first I want to thank the chair for taking this meeting and having this conversation. Due to our statutory responsibility, we have to take action 10 days within our annual meeting. Well, our annual meeting is tomorrow, and our next board meeting is outside that 10 days, and that's why we took the steps to convene to have this conversation so that we could take action at our annual meeting and make these appointments. As a form of process, what happens is that we do have nominations from both the Republican and the Democratic parties of Oakland County, and all commissioners will have a paper ballot issued to them on the floor, and they'll cast their vote. And so for my motion right now, what I'm comfortable doing right now, and I think there's some reflection that I have to do between now and then, I'm comfortable for Lago recommending the appointment of Gloria Hurston-Spann for the Democratic nominee, and remaining silent on the other, realizing that the ballots will be distributed and a vote will happen because
At the September 29th.
at the September 29th meeting. So I'm going to make the motion to reappoint Gloria Hurston-Spann as a Democratic member, and just be silent on the Republican member at this point.
Okay, so we have a motion to reappoint Gloria Hurston-Spann as a Democrat of the Oakland County Board of Canvassers appointments. Is there a second?
Oh, wait, is going to second that? Or he-
No, I think he has a question. So Commissioner Gershenson seconds. Commissioner Spiz.
Just a point of order. Can we do a motion out of committee like that without making a recommendation to the floor? We just leave it blank? Because that's what you're proposing, Commissioner Woodward, if I'm not mistaken.
That's exactly what I mean. Yes, we can make that. The ballots will still be issued. The ballots with all three names of both the Democratic and the Republican candidates will all be issued. But from a committee recommendation, remain blank on the recommendation of the Republican. That's what my motion is, correct? Everyone will still vote.
The ballots yeah, I understand. So the ballots that'll be on the floor will have all three recommendations from the Republican Party and all three recommendations from the Democrat Party.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this agenda item? If not, let's move forward with prompting the vote for the Legislative Affair and Government Operations recommendation of Gloria Hurston-Spann as the Democrat Oakland County the Oakland County Board of Canvassers.
Jackson?
Roll.
Jackson?
I still want to say roll call.
Yes.
Oh.
Madam Chair, you have 4 yeas, 0 nays.
4 yeas, 0 nays for Gloria Hurston-Spann as our recommendation for reappointment on the Oakland County Board of Canvassers. Is there any further business to come before this committee this morning?
We have a second public comment.
All right. Seeing that there's no further business to come before the committee, we do have an additional public comment. If there's anybody from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, now is your opportunity to do so. Seeing that there is no one from the public who would like to address the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, I will close our second public comment. Seeing that there is no further business to come before the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee, I announce at 10:50, meeting adjourned.
Good job.